Good morning, students. So today we are going to study proverbs and stock sayings. I've already discussed quite a lot of proverbs and stock sayings in the class. So this is, of course, in addition to the proverbs and stock sayings I've already discussed when I was teaching you this topic initially. Okay, so take this as an addition to the proverbs and stock sayings we've already discussed, and I'll be discussing around 15 more proverbs and stock sayings with you all in this video lecture. So let's begin. Okay, first of all, I want you all to remember that again, those of you who remember the definition from the previous lecture, good, but otherwise, just for your revision, please remember that a proverb is a simple, concrete, traditional saying that expresses a perceived truth based on common sense or experience. Proverbs are often metaphorical and use formulaic language. Now, even during my first lecture on proverbs and stock sayings, I had tried to tell you all as to what is the difference between idioms and proverbs. So, idioms and proverbs are, of course, both used in speech and writing, but they differ from each other. So, what is the primary difference between an idiom and a proverb? Let's look at the next slide for that. So, let's begin with idioms. Since I've already introduced the definition of a proverb to you all, let's begin the discussion on the difference between an idiom and a proverb with a definition of what idioms are. Okay, so idioms can be short phrases or complete sentences that have a figurative meaning. Thus, even if you know the meaning of each word in an idiomatic expression, you would still not understand the actual meaning of the idiom unless you are familiar with this expression. Okay, so this is the case with idioms. They might be complete sentences in themselves. Can, of course, be short phrases which can be embedded in another sentence. That is exactly how I differentiated between a proverb and an idiom when I was talking about them initially. Uh, so this is something that you need to keep in mind, that idioms can be short phrases that can be embedded in a sentence. Okay, but if you do not know them, if you're not familiar with them, then of course it will be very difficult for you to understand what they mean. Okay, in case of idioms, of course, there's one more thing that you all need to remember, that the tenses can be changed. Okay, proverbs on the other hand do not change their form. Idioms on the other hand can change their form. Let's look at the examples. So call it a day. It's of course an example of an idiomatic expression, an idiomatic phrase, which means stop the work that you are doing. Okay, an example where this idiomatic expression has been used is as following. After waiting in line for 6 hours to see her favorite actor, she decided to call it a day. Okay. Another example of an idiom is, of course, that's the last straw. An idiomatic sentence meaning my patience has run out. I always wait until the last straw. If Ruby doesn't return my book tonight, I'm going to confront her. So here, of course, you can see how this idiomatic expression, the last straw, has been used in the example. Okay. So this is the main difference between an idiom and a proverb. Let's look at what proverbs are once again. So what are proverbs? Proverbs are short sayings that are used to impart wisdom. To some extent, the literal meaning of the words in a proverb can be used to infer the underlying meaning of the proverb. That might not be the case with idioms. However, a true understanding of these short sentences will be achieved only if you go beyond the literal meanings of the words. The tense of proverbs cannot be changed, unlike the tense of idioms. Proverbs always have a moral or social message, while idioms do not. Now, that is also true. Again, something that you need to keep in mind, that proverbs always have a moral or social message, but idioms may or may not have so. Okay. Examples of proverbs. Um, both these I obviously had discussed in the class when I was teaching proverbs and stock sayings. So I'm sure you can recall these two proverbs from the earlier discussion we have had on the topic. First is, all that glitters is not gold. Okay, it can be used in places to mean something that looks appealing is not always good. Second example is, a stitch in time saves nine. It can be used in places to mean solving a problem immediately may save you from doing extra work later. Okay. Fine. Let's move on to discussion of a few more proverbs. So the next few slides are going to familiarize you all with uh, those proverbs which of course were not discussed in the previous class. Of course, this list is not exhaustive. There are many more proverbs that are used in English language. Some have of course also come from other languages. So you need to know about those as well. So try and familiarize yourself with as many as possible. Okay, first one is the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. This is the first one on the list, that is. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Uh, the meaning of this proverb is children are very similar to their parents. Okay. So when we are talking, basically when we are comparing the children and their parents, and we actually want to say that, you know, the child that is before us is not very different from the parents, we can just say this: the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Okay. Uh, of course, this proverb, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, can be used both in a positive as well as a negative connotation. Okay, contexts. Okay, you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. The meaning is to get what you want, be nice to people instead of yelling at them or being mean. Of course, nice behavior tends to attract more people. So you can catch more flies with honey. So honey, of course, is indicative of sweetness, whereas vinegar is uh, sour. So these words, of course, are indicative of what the meaning of the proverb is, which is to get what you want, be nice to people instead of yelling at them or being mean. Okay, the third proverb we are discussing today is you can't teach an old dog new tricks. What does this mean? It means older people don't change their habits easily. Okay, so older people are somehow not open to new ideas. They might not want to change their habits or their way of living or anything, or their way of thinking for that matter. So they might not really be open to suggestions or ideas that might be coming from younger people, or even for that matter people their own age. So they tend to become, as people grow older, they tend to become a little more you know like their opinions only acquire more strength, and therefore they're not open to new ideas. Fourth, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. This means if you help me, then I will help you in return. Now, this, of course, is not something that is very indicative of what the meaning is. The phrase, the proverb by itself doesn't help you understand it. But if you're familiar with it, then of course you will be able to recall the meaning uh, in case they ask you this during the exam. So you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours means if you help me, then I will help you in return. Fifth proverb is that we are discussing today is as you make your bed, so you must lie in it too. Okay. The meaning of this is be prepared to face the consequences of your wrong actions. In some ways, this is very similar to what you reap, so shall you sow. Okay, it's very similar to that in terms of meaning. As you make your bed, so you must lie in it too. So be prepared to face the consequences of your wrong actions. What you sow, so shall you reap. That's another proverb which is very similar to the meaning of this proverb. As you make your bed, so you must lie in it too. Okay. Sixth one is there is a black sheep in every family. The full stop is missing here. I'm sorry. Meaning is one member in every family doesn't fit it. There's always one member in every family who doesn't fit into the characteristics of the family. Okay. Now, of course, this also has an idiomatic use. So we might describe someone who is, you know, who's very unlike the people in his family, or has a lot of negative qualities, whereas everybody else in the family is really good. So then we tend to identify that person as the black sheep of the family. So we can also say he is a black sheep of the family, or she is a black sheep of the family. So it's also acquired an idiomatic usage, this proverb. In the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Now, the meaning of this proverb is the person with the little ability in a group of those with absolutely no ability is at an advantage. This, of course, has a Hindi equivalent as well. If you're familiar with it, then of course you would be able to remember the meaning of this one quite clearly. Okay, so yes, in case there's a group of people where uh, nobody has any other ability, then the person even with a little amount of talent, little ability, will stand out, and he will of course lead the group. Okay, the eighth proverb we are discussing today is blood is thicker than water. What it really means is that family relationship is stronger than others. Okay, so eventually people, what it means is that no matter what the circumstances are, people tend to side with their family members over the others. No matter, even if let's say there is some friction going on between them. Okay, two blacks don't make a white. Now, the meaning of this is you cannot justify something wrong you have done because someone else has also done it. In some ways, this proverb is very similar to the one we had already discussed uh, uh, in the class when I was teaching you this topic initially. That time, I think I discussed the proverb two wrongs do not make a right. So, this proverb is very similar to that one. Two blacks don't make a white. Okay. Okay. 10th is, of course, a proverb and a very interesting one actually. Still waters run deep. Now, this means people who don't talk a lot sometimes have really interesting thoughts. So, still waters here is, of course, a reference to people who are reticent, who speak less, who are introverted. But then, they, of course, have a certain depth of thought, which um, extroverts do not possess. So, still waters run deep means people who don't talk a lot sometimes have really interesting thoughts. Okay, so these were the 10 proverbs that I wanted to discuss. Um, and there are five more, which I'll show you in the two slides following this. But although your syllabus doesn't specify that um, you will get legal proverbs or proverbs related to and sayings related to law, I would advise you all to familiarize yourself with as many proverbs and sayings related to law and lawyers as possible, because everything else in your syllabus is supposed to help you develop your legal vocabulary. So I don't know how many proverbs and stock sayings that they want you all to know um, uh, are somehow separate from whatever else is in your syllabus. So please familiarize yourself with as many proverbs and sayings related to law and lawyers as possible. Chances are very high they might give you some proverbs and stock sayings that do relate to law and lawyers, and then ask you to explain those. So this what you see in this slide, I have given two links, of course. The first link is a uh, is a website that has a lot of proverbs in it. So just search for proverbs for law and proverbs for lawyer on this website, and you will get a very long list of proverbs. They may not necessarily be of English origin or British origin. A lot of them are from Russian and Chinese that have, of course, been adopted in English, but as far as possible, do go through the list just to be safe. Because as I've told you, whatever the list of the proverbs and stock sayings that I've discussed with you is not exhaustive. Although I think we have covered almost all the um, um, common ones, I'm not really sure what else they can ask for. So I thought this would serve as a good link, as a good resource that will help you learn more proverbs and sayings, which will, of course, help you develop your vocabulary and also help you to better your writing, since essay writing is also in your syllabus. So maybe these proverbs and stock sayings can also help you write a better essay. Okay. Then I've also embedded another link in this slide. The second one, the second one is actually a link to an interesting essay called "The Law and Lawyers in English Proverbs" by Donald F. Bond. So this essay will also help you learn a few more proverbs relating to law and lawyers. A lot of the proverbs that he's talking about are of course very dated. Most of them have of course fallen into disuse, but it's an interesting read, something that is related to your field. So do read it. I'm sure you have plenty of time right now. Just give it a read, and I think it will help you. So some of the proverbs and stock sayings that I came across that I got to learn from this essay, I've included in the next two slides. But most of the proverbs that, now Donald F. Bond actually has an argument in this essay. He says that a lot of the proverbs that relate to law and lawyers, of course, tend to present a certain picture of law which is very negative, and even that of lawyers. So in some of the proverbs, lawyers have actually been compared to liars, or as people who are very money minded and just looking for clients so that they can, exploit them. This is especially true for the proverbs uh, that were very popular till 19th century. Try to relate the argument that he's making in this essay with the kind of criticism of law and lawyers we get in David Copperfield. If you will, then of course it will help you build a better answer on criticism of law and lawyers in David Copperfield, the novel that is of course in your syllabus. Okay, so yeah, this is there. So as just to make you aware that this is the case. So let's look at some of the proverbs that uh, Donald F. Bond has mentioned in this essay. They are of course fairly common. Now, one of the proverbs that I came across that of course relates to lawyers: an ill agreement is better than a good judgment. Okay, an ill agreement is better than a good judgment. This proverb has a few more variations. Uh, so you can, again, if you remember this one, then of course you will be able to guess the meaning of the variations as well. So the meaning for this is, it is better to settle a suit outside the court rather than to take the matter to the court, because there of course you again might not get what you desire. It is better to settle a suit outside the court. Now the another proverb that I came across uh, in that essay is no fee, no law, or a variation of this proverb is little fee, little law. What it really means is that of course legal procedures are expensive, and you will only get that much justice as you are willing to pay for. Okay, so no fee, no law. If you are not willing to pay for it, you won't get any within quotes justice, or which of course imply that legal procedures are indeed expensive. And little fee, little law, again, if you pay less, then of course you're only going to get that much justice. So clearly it is, very, this proverb does seem to be critical of uh, the the money mindedness, which is very much related to the field of law. Okay, and the another one that I came across is, there's one law for the rich and another for the poor. Now this of course talks about the inequalities that exist uh, in practices of law, in legal practices. So a rich person is not punished for something that a poor person would be punished for. That's the meaning of this one. The more laws, the more offenders. Meaning of this is, too many laws lead to higher chances of people breaking the law, thus producing a higher number of offenders. Okay, a penny weight of love is worth a pound of law is another one that I came across. Again, it has a few variations as well. This means law is usually not very forgiving, kind, or gentle to people. Unlike, let's say, somebody who's loving, then they will of course be nice to you. So these were 4 or 5 that I came across in the essay, which means that in totality we have discussed 15 proverbs and stock sayings in this video lecture. There are many more that you should be aware of, which is why I'm saying that please keep reading, keep revising, keep familiarizing yourself with the proverbs and stock sayings. Keep working on improving your legal vocabulary. I am actually sharing a few attachments with this video lecture. One actually has around a list of 1,000 proverbs. Now, I don't expect you to remember all of them, but at least go through all of them so that in case they ask you something, then you might just remember what the proverb means and explain the meaning of the proverb in your own words. That is possible. Just to let you know that these last five, the last five that I've discussed, you may not find the meaning of these ones anywhere. So I, of course, had to come up with them on my own. Again, if you were to look at the proverbs, they do tell us exactly what they mean. It's just that you need to, apply your brains, keep your presence of mind when explaining the meanings of proverbs and stock sayings, and I think you will at least be able to, you will successfully, you will be successful while attempting a question based on proverbs and stock sayings. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much. Please do look at um, at least the first link. Check out the first link and look up for proverbs and stock sayings related to law and lawyers. There are also a lot of quotations on the website, which of course relate to law and lawyers. Just make sure that you at least check it out once and go through the list. That's it for today. Thank you so much. An assignment will also be shared. Please attempt it and do well on it. Thank you so much.